Hello and welcome to another episode from the Water's Edge. We're down here today back at Barford Lakes, hopefully catching a few fish on the Banjo Feeder, which we'll talk about in a minute. As you can probably see, it's not the best of days. We're coming up to early part of November, in my opinion the hardest time of year to fish. It's quite cold, we've just had a frost last night, and maybe only a week or 2 weeks ago we were in 10-12 degrees, so the fish don't really know what's going on this time of year. And with that in mind, we've got a few little tweaks we can do with the bait, a few adjustments to the rig from what we're doing in the summer, and that's what we'll be showing you in today's episode. Let's go and have a look at the bait now. Bait preparation today takes a little bit more work than what it normally would do in the summer. As I said, I'm fishing a Banjo Feeder, and on the feeder we're going to be using pellets, which actually is the same as what I would normally do. I've got some 2mm pellets here. As in most fisheries today, you have to use fishery owned pellets. I've had these soak in, they're nice and soft, and they'll now be ready to go on the mould. What I'm going to do is I've got 2 pints here, I'm going to split them in half, a pint in each. Now this is where the difference would come. Normally in the summer I would use just straight pellets like that and it would be absolutely fine. One thing I'm going to do today is try and add a little bit of colour. Any little thing you can do this time of year to get you an extra bite is definitely worth a go. So I've got 2 different colours. I've got some red dye, which I'm going to add to these pellets that I've also had soaking. So all we need to do, they're still fairly sort of damp, so sprinkle the red dye, put that to one side, pop the lid on, and we'll give that a good shake. Now this will all soak in, be a real vibrant red colour, and I've only got a few in here. Putting them into a pint of pellets is just going to be the odd speck of red. A little change like that can sometimes get you an extra fish. You see there, they've taken that colour really well, so they'll go into that side. The other side, pretty much the same principle. All I'm going to do is I'm going to change the colour and I'm going to have a yellow side. So basically I've got 2 options. Sometimes I've got specks of yellow in my bait, sometimes I've got specks of red. Exactly the same thing. You don't need much, tiny sprinkle, lid on, and give them a good shake. You could have just normal pellets. I just like to try and get that extra fish wherever I can. And they'll be with those. So if I mix those together, in there you'll see you've got the odd speck of different colours inside the bait. The only other thing I've got with me, I've got some maggots, in case it does get a bit hard. That's what I'll be using later on. And if you've watched our other videos, you would have seen this before, is the pellet box. That becomes more and more important the colder it gets, because you're just always changing from bait to bait. Okay, all we need to do now is have a quick look at the rig and then we'll get fishing. Okay, that's the bait done, all on the side tray ready to go. We'll have a quick look at the rig and the tackle and then we'll get fishing. First of all, I've got my reel loaded with 6-pound mainline. My rod choice is a 10-foot bomb rod. It's nice and short, nice and soft. We haven't got big casts, we're only going 3/4 of the way across here, maybe all the way if the fish back over us. We've then got a Banjo Feeder, as we said we're fishing today. It's pretty much a take on a method feed that most people are used to, with a couple of small little changes that I think this time of year is better than fishing a normal method feeder. The first thing on there is it's smaller. Most commercial methods that you buy in shops today are fairly big and they do hold quite a lot of bait. That's one plus this time of year. I don't think you need too much bait. This will create a nice little pocket exactly where you want it. That brings us on to the second thing, which is different to the method, is the ring that goes all the way around the outside of this feeder. What I feel that does is as you're casting out, I think it keeps your bait more compact than what it does in the method. Sometimes I feel your method hits the water, your bait comes off. This is what solves it. Keeps it more compact, small little pockets of bait, which is what you're looking for. The odd fish coming in, picking up bits of bait, and then you're in. Basically, the other thing I've slightly changed is my hook length is lighter. I normally fish 0.18, this time I've got 0.16, and my hook is down a size to a size 18 rather than a size 16. On there we're going to be fishing a normal banded 8mm pellet. We'll change that throughout the day with baits in the pellet box. Let's have a look how we load it up. It's pretty straightforward. Your bait will go into the mould. The pellets that we soaked earlier, I've gone for the ones with the yellow flecking to start with. Basically, that then goes your banjo over the top, give it a good squeeze in there, as you would the method feeder, and on the bottom you've got a button to release. Well, there it is, ready to go. Nice little pocket of bait with your hook bait right in the middle. That's ready to go. We've clipped up just about 3/4 to the other side. Let's give it a go, see if we can have a few fish. Well, the first cast is in there now nicely, the line's settled. All it basically is now is a waiting game. I mean, this time of year you don't always need to be catching loads of fish. Quite often, depending on the venues you fish, 5-10 bites of the right size fish is enough to win a match this time of the year. You're not always looking for £100 every time you go, you're just looking to get the best out of your swim. And sometimes this is the way to do it, play the waiting game. I'd be more than happy to leave this for 20 minutes, maybe even half hour on the first cast. If the fish start coming, you can pick the cast rate up and cast it a little bit more often. But for now, we'll just sit here and wait for a bit and we'll see what happens. Well, there's the first fish. Hasn't taken too long. Just sat there patiently, giving it its time. Doesn't feel like the biggest fish, but just to catch in this sort of conditions and awkward time of the year is great fun. Had a few little knocks before the tip went round. I think it indicates what I was saying earlier about the bait definitely staying in the banjo really well. It could almost see the fish attacking it before it went. Looks like a nice little F1. Great way to start the session. Don't have a good little account for himself. And there we go. There's the first fish on the banjo feeder. Hooked right on the side of the lip. What a lovely little fish. See if we can have a few more of those. Just slip a pellet on and we'll get back out there. Well, that was a cracking little fish to start with. While we're waiting for the other fish, I mean, I think these pellets that we were talking about earlier, I think they really do make the difference on your commercials nowadays when you're trying to get the edge over everyone else. Little things like that really are important. And, I mean, that bite came a little bit quicker than I expected. It wouldn't surprise me if it is down to something just as small as a few little changes in your bait. I mean, oh, we've actually got another fish on there. Feels nice fish. And as I was saying, I feel like the little changes is what makes the big difference in fishing. Each commercial reacts to different colours, so although I've done red and yellow pellets here today, don't feel afraid to try black, try white. I mean, give it a go. You might find out that one day you try something completely different, you find out a colour that works for you, and and before you know it, you find yourself catching more fish than anyone around you. Looks like another little fish. Oh, we've just lost that one at the net. Oh well, you can't win them all. It's a good sign though. We'll get back out there again. Hopefully we'll have another one.